biohacking, performance, mastery, mindset, holistic health. This is a show about getting better every single day. I'm on a mission, guys, to help over 1 million people get healthy and lose weight. Why? Because when you lose weight and get healthy, you have higher self-esteem. You have more self-confidence. And that person goes out and crushes their goal and starts living the highest version of themselves, and then they have way more impact on the world. Boom! What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Let's get into another episode of Health Hack Fridays. Every Friday I like to do just an episode talking about, something that you guys can use to move the needle in a quick fashion. You don't have to listen to a long 30, 60-minute podcast. And in just a little bit, you can get some quick tips and move on with your day. And so this week, I had a great interview with Dr. John Laurence from MitoZen. He's a naturopathic doctor. He's healed himself and many others. He's helped them with mold and Lyme disease. And he just came out with a fascinating book called Melatonin, the Miracle Molecule, and why he's so bullish on it and why he uses it with a lot of his patients, and especially those with autoimmune disease, cancer, and he sees high doses, super physiological doses, to be very beneficial. And so he has a chapter in the book talking about melatonin and diabetes and how that relates to weight loss. And I thought it was really interesting. So I want to share that with you guys today and some of the things that show up in that book. And I'm going to be getting a lot of questions this week about, like, why would you do this such a high doses? Like, this is crazy. Like, I thought, this is bad for you. Listen, everybody is different and they have their own bio-individuality. I have a very good health practitioner friend who just hit me up and was like, hey, like, high dose melatonin didn't work for me. It messed with my estrogen levels and stuff. So everybody's different. I mean, with a lot of women, though, we see a benefit with melatonin supplementation for estrogen dominance, for example, but everybody's different. So you have to test and reassess always, right? Now, let's talk about melatonin and diabetes specifically, right? Diabetes is a metabolic disorder dealing with energy balances. And so really, it's no surprise that something like melatonin would help and be effective in managing both type 1 and type 2 diabetes, because at a root level, melatonin is supporting cellular energy. And this is important for sleep. We know that. And that's going to be important for recovery and hormone management. And so they did a study on type 2 diabetes and insomnia in the endocrine web. And so you can look for that study. And they wanted to see, like, how it affected glycemic control. And so if you look at the study, they were administering melatonin 2 hours before bedtime for 3 weeks. And they wanted to see, like, what it would do and they looked at various metabolic factors. So they were looking at things like fasting blood glucose, C-peptide, HbA1c, which is like a measure of your glucose, over a 3-month period. So it's a really good metabolic test. And a lot of people use that, as well as fasting glucose and the HbA1c, as a really good marker for seeing, like, where are you at with your glycemic control and where are you at in terms of, diabetes and being able to regulate blood sugar. And so we looked at triglycerides, total cholesterol, HDL, LDL cholesterol, insulin, and even some antioxidants. And after following 5 months of melatonin use, it was noticed that the HbA1c was significantly lower in their test group than just the regular baseline group. And so patients who were using melatonin on supplements on a regular basis, they were able to have better control of their diabetes. And as well, because it's a sleep hormone, right? It's going to help regulate the secretion and the release of insulin from your pancreas. And so they were noticing this. You could always, consider something like intermittent fasting, right? That's going to be good as well. And what they saw is that, they found that anybody that's actually starting, like, fasting, if you're going to start doing that, they found that melatonin supplementation, it would help people through the fast because it could regulate insulin better. And so being able to support hunger and cravings by being able to manage those hormones, ghrelin and leptin, which we've talked many times on the show, ghrelin being the hunger hormone and leptin being the satiety hormone, telling your brain, hey, I'm full, I'm satiated, I don't need any more food. So melatonin can help with that. And they found that to be very effective. There's other studies in the hormone molecular biology and clinical investigation, which explains how it could fight against type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Diabetes, think about it, guys, it causes a lot of free radicals in the metabolic process. And so this stress can create these imbalances between the body's natural antioxidants and free radicals, right? So melatonin is going to help release that oxidative stress, and it acts as a very, very powerful antioxidant. And so at the baseline, when people are always asking me, why would I take melatonin? Why would I take it in these super physiological doses from 100 to 200 milligrams nightly? Like, why would I do that? It is one of the most powerful antioxidants, right? We've seen that in many studies, and there was recent stuff done in the pandemic with this virus. And there was very good evidence showing that melatonin supplementation help people recover faster, avoid the cytokine storm. So it reduces oxidative stress, and it is also a powerful free radical scavenger, right? That can help destroy those reactive oxygen species that are released during various metabolic processes, such as diabetes, right, which is damaging your cells and damaging the pancreas. And so this would help restore normal function of the pancreas and allow this gland to actually start secreting insulin in the adequate amounts that it needs to. So it's affecting glucose metabolism. The other thing about melatonin, if you're just looking at like some quick, simple things, is melatonin helps. It's very good with regulating the nervous system and having a parasympathetic effect, right? Helping that parasympathetic tone. Your body cannot heal if it's not in a parasympathetic state, a rest and relaxed state. And so melatonin can help restore that. It is restoring the mitochondria at a cellular level. It is getting in there. We know it affects the cells, and this is really the epicenter where oxidation is occurring in the cells of the pancreas. And that is that's why it works very well. They're seeing, at least for type 1, type 2 diabetes. There's also this synergy between insulin and melatonin. If you look at it, it's the studies are a little bit I don't want to say confusing, but you have to like really read it and read it over again to really synthesize it. And it talks about these two cells, these M1 and M2 receptor site cells. So melatonin acts on these receptor sites, an MT1 and an MT2. So they're both a little bit different, but it helps protect those pancreatic cells that can be impaired, right, from something like diabetes and the environment. What they saw, though, is the adipose tissues. They are targets of melatonin. And so your adipose, when you think about it, this is your fat cells, right? And that's going to help regulate metabolism as well, and including your body's overall metabolism, right, in terms of fats and carbohydrates. And melatonin activated these M2 receptor sites in the adipocytes, and it was able to modulate glucose uptake and absorption in these cells. So also, insulin-induced synthesis of leptin and its release of these isolated adipocytes, right? The fat cells can also potentiate the effects of these MT1 mediated melatonin, right? The sleep hormone, it says, can regulate several aspects of the adipocyte biology, which can influence things like lipidemia, energy, metabolism, body weight, through all these regulatory effects of lipolysis, which is the breakdown of fat cells, adipocyte differentiation, lipogenesis, and fatty acid uptake. Finally, it says the finding of this possible role of melatonin in controlling insulin secretion, glucose and fat metabolism, glucose uptake by the cells, and in reduction of oxidative damage. These studies have provided evidence linking the reduced melatonin levels due to reasons like working shifts. This is a big shout out to all the shift workers, man. You know, this is ruining your circadian rhythm, which is affecting things like the metabolic processes, right? So you definitely need to be probably supplementing with melatonin. And so their inability to get, like, their sleep cycles being dysregulated and being able to get restful sleep, right? So this is really driving home the importance of replenishing those melatonin levels through supplementation to help restore metabolic functions and prevent diabetes. Now, let's talk about some of the anti-obesity effects, and then we'll get into the conclusion and we'll wrap this episode up. Melatonin has been shown to increase calorie usage. So investigators believe this increased calorie usage is due to the accumulation of brown fat. Now, we know those that have more brown fat, visceral white fat, that's the body fat that you don't want. And that is inflammation, and that is disrupting hormones and having a lot of downstream effects. Brown fat, on the other hand, is very mitochondrial dense and is great for burning fat. And then also, people with more brown fat, not only are they more regular, they have a better metabolism, but they also have more mitochondria. We look at mitochondria in terms of energy and aging. And so studies show also those animals that don't have a pineal gland, which is a lot where we think about melatonin, a lot of melatonin is made in the gut, but there's also a lot made in the pineal gland, especially when we're thinking about regulating our circadian rhythms and sleep. And so when they removed the pineal gland from animals, they found that they became overweight, but supplementing with just melatonin reversed all that weight gain. And so it is helping, again, regulate these energy balances and the mobilization from the body stores and energy expenditure through things like brown fat production. Huge. It's also going to help reduce those visceral fat deposits that we talked about, that white fat. And so it's believed to work by inducing this. They said in the study, it's believed that it's inducing the reestablishment of circadian distribution of energy metabolism and insulin signaling pathway reinstatement through these melatonin receptors that we talked about earlier, that MT1 and the MT2. Now, here's the conclusion, guys. Melatonin, right, is a key modulator molecule, right? And it can help with restoring that healthy metabolism because it's operating at that cellular level. So it's operating on the energy balance, right? And body weight regulation. Melatonin also acts as a potentiator both for the peripheral and central insulin action by supporting the regulation of these insulin signaling pathways. So melatonin's been responsible, they've seen, for maintaining adequate energy balance, like we mentioned, and regulating energy flow. So that is going to be super beneficial, obviously, for metabolism and the metabolic effects. It also has been shown to help with the two major metabolic phases that exist in our 24-hour period, right? We have a night and day cycle. So there's an activity of feeding, wakefulness, right? And activity. And then there's that other state of rest, fasting, sleep. And basically you're using energy during the day and you're storing it as you feed, right? And so during the night, you're pulling this energy that you stored during the day in the form of glucose to use to heal and repair the body. So it's a very powerful chronobiotic in restoring those phases, right? Is what they refer to it as, a chronobiotic. Now, the decline in the synthesis of melatonin can occur due to all these stresses that we have in our life, right? Aging is one. We know just from aging that people actually make, I think a 60-year-old makes like 3 times less melatonin than like a 20-year-old. So you naturally start to make less. Shift work, which we talked about earlier. Think about all these blue lights and all the lights that we use at night, which is dysregulating our sleep as well. So this is going to create chronodisruption, metabolic imbalance, and affect your glycemic control. So you can use melatonin to help restore some of that. The evidence, guys, at the end that melatonin can induce insulin secretion, improve that B cell function in those pancreas cells, is a really strong foundation, I think, that supports that melatonin supplementation can be a very effective therapeutic approach for restoring glucose homeostasis, right? And the scientific proof supports that evidence that melatonin replacement therapy, when carried out adequately with maintaining normal glucose levels, has been shown to help restore that chronobiology, which you need in order to restore that robust, healthy state that everyone's looking for. And again, when you're thinking about, again, if you're explaining to friends, how does this work? Well, again, we are affecting the cellular level. Melatonin is a powerful antioxidant, and it is very good at restoring the nervous system and restoring chronobiology. And so when you do that, you can affect hormones, you can affect glucose, the pancreas, you can just see all these healing effects that are happening. You couple that with fasting, some cold therapy, man, you are on a path to success. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this shed some light on some of the studies and some of the things that were coming out with melatonin. And it also supports what the interview I just did with Dr. John Lawrence from Mitozen. So if you haven't seen that episode, go check out the Hack Life podcast. Go check out that episode that just got released on Tuesday. I believe it's episode number 146. And we dive into why melatonin is so powerful and why he even doses 600 to 800 milligrams a night. And people think he's crazy. Go check that one out, guys. It's going to be amazing. Have an amazing weekend. If you have any questions or you need help in restoring your own health and you're looking for some solutions, I do holistic health coaching. I'm happy to connect with you guys and help you in any way that I can. Please reach out, shoot me a DM at Joel Evan Coaching, or just shoot me an email, info@joelevancoaching, and I'm happy to help you guys in any way I can. Have an amazing weekend. I love you guys. God bless.